Now, investigators in Rock County are following up on leads after a homicide this afternoon. And the Milwaukee community continues to grieve for a police officer shot and killed earlier this week. Plus, there's alert days in the forecast for snow chances. Dave Caulfield has your first alert forecast.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Thanks for watching News 3 Now at 10. I'm Amanda Quintana. We start with breaking news tonight in Beloit, where police are investigating a homicide. Let's turn it over to News 3 Now's Adam Duxter with the latest. Adam.
Well, Amanda, we are on the 800 block of Vine Street in Beloit, where police have confirmed a homicide took place earlier today. The neighbors we spoke with said that they saw a vehicle pull right up along this shoulder and park for several hours. They didn't know that the person inside might have been struggling. They said it took authorities hours to get here, but police right now not revealing too much information other than that there is one victim, a 28-year-old man from Janesville. They're not releasing his name at this time. Neighbors we spoke with today said that they were shocked and that this is a relatively quiet area, and most importantly, they say they were surprised it took so long for authorities to get here.
There was a car weirdly parked on the terrace across the street, and it sat there for a while. It just looked weirdly parked, and then a while after we noticed it was there, fire truck came, ambulance came, and then they left, and that's when the yellow tape and the police came.
And as for a victim, Beloit police not saying too much information on that side either. They have not named not as for a suspect. They have not named a suspect, and they said that they are still investigating all leads at this point. They did tell me today, however, that there is no active threat to the public at this time, and we're going to follow along with this investigation overnight into tomorrow morning and tomorrow. You can keep it tuned to News 3 Now and to our website, channel3000.com, for all the latest updates. Beloit police confirming tomorrow they will hold a press conference and release more details. But right now, what we do know is there is a 28-year-old Janesville man that has died from a homicide here along the 800 block of Vine Street in Beloit. Back to you, Amanda.
Thank you so much, Adam. More local news now. 4 teens are accused of stealing a car in Fitchburg early this morning before crashing it into a snowbank. Officers saw the stolen vehicle around 1 a.m. near Coho Street and Post Road. That's just off Fish Hatchery Road. Minutes later, 2 other officers spotted the car across town on Lilac Lane and Seminole Highway. That's when the driver ran the car off the road and into a snowbank. A 16-year-old and 2 14-year-olds were arrested. They are still looking for that 4th suspect. Madison police are investigating after a woman claimed a man punched her in the face after he tried to hug her. The 48-year-old victim says she was walking along North Carroll Street Thursday night when a man yelled at her and began following her. He caught up to her, and that's when she says he tried to hug her. When she refused the hug, he punched her in the face twice. Police are still investigating the situation and do not have any suspects. Another scammer is making his way around the area, persuading cashiers to give him cash. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office says in almost every case, a man walks up to the cashier and tells them he knows the owner and he has permission to obtain a loan from the business. He usually explains his personal hardships and why he's in need of cash. In all instances, he's been able to convince cashiers to give him about $150. Authorities are asking business owners and cashiers to be on the lookout and report any suspicious activity. Let's get a look at your first alert weather with Dave Caulfield out on the patio. Dave.
Yeah, it's still pretty chilly out here, Amanda, but temperatures will be getting a little bit warmer over the next few days in advance of some snow that is on the way to southern Wisconsin. Not seeing any of that snow right now, and I don't think we will until the middle of tomorrow morning across southern Wisconsin, but the WISC-TV Skycam looking at mostly cloudy skies. Doppler track is quiet. That will change over the next few days, getting a little bit more of an active weather pattern after a short break today. Temperatures right now are in the mid-teens, so definitely warmer than we were at this time yesterday, about 10 to 15 degrees warmer. Still with that wind, even though it is rather light, we are feeling like the single digits in Lone Rock, Madison, and Camp Douglas, feeling like 12 degrees in the Dells. Wind chills over the next 12 hours actually going up along with temperatures as some of that warmer air filters in overnight. We do have alert days in the forecast for tomorrow and for Tuesday for two separate systems on the way. We'll talk more about those in your News 3 Now First Alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Dave. Last night, people came together in the Milwaukee community to remember fallen police officer Matthew Rittner. It was standing room only inside an elementary school auditorium. Meanwhile, a Milwaukee restaurant server has a special message for the law enforcement community. Shirley Descorbeth has the story.
After the tragic death of Milwaukee officer Matthew Rittner, the hearts of many across the area are heavy.
This was such an unfortunate event that really didn't need to happen.
The day after he was killed while on duty, server Stephanie Wengel had all law enforcement in her thoughts. While working at the Cheesecake Factory, she noticed a family of 5. The mother was wearing a flag shirt with a blue line.
I immediately recognized that it had to have been somebody who was a cop, so I asked her. It was the first table of the night, and she said, actually, yeah, I am a cop. And she looked at her husband and said, he is too. And all I said was, thank you.
But Wengel didn't feel like saying thank you was enough. She decided to write them a sentimental letter.
Dear officers, I can't fathom what you're going through. I wanted them to know that they were loved, and despite this situation that has happened, that I will always back the blue.
Wengel, whose father is a retired firefighter, says she understands what officers go through.
I can't imagine going to one of their funerals. And I grew up with a whole bunch of cops as my neighbors, a whole bunch of firemen as my neighbors. And I don't think they get enough recognition.
The couple appreciated her gestures so much, they called her manager.
She was emotional on the phone and super grateful.
If you'd like to help the family of Officer Rittner, donations will be accepted at any TCF bank branch. The title of the account is Family of Matthew Rittner. Officials with the University of Wisconsin system say the number of graduates has grown from 10 years ago. The number of graduates of color has also more than doubled. Nearly 37,000 students completed their degrees in the last academic year, a 13% increase compared to the 2007-2008 school year. Despite the graduate growth, enrollment is down overall at the system's 13 campuses. UW System President Ray Cross says that's due to fewer people of college age. Education leaders are studying how to keep teachers and attract new ones as teacher shortages continue around the state. The UW system recently announced a task force to study teacher education enrollments and incentives. The dean of UW-Madison School of Education says enrollment in teacher education programs is down about 35% nationally, and the enrollment decrease is even more dramatic in parts of Wisconsin. The task force hopes to give recommendations by May 1st. A student-driven campaign is working to get the Madison Metropolitan School District to use 100% renewable energy by 2040. West High School senior Katya Wanish is part of that campaign, hoping to get 10,000 signatures for a green resolution by the end of the month. The group says that resolution would mean solar panels at schools and investing in renewable energy credits. Katya became interested in environmental issues early in high school, but really took note of climate change's potential effects while helping out with this past summer's flooding.
And I want to make sure that we can mitigate these changes and save Madison how it is for my future children and grandchildren and all future Madisonians, because I really like Madison the way it is right now, and I don't want it to be hit hard by climate disasters.
Students hope the school board will vote on the resolution this spring. Next on News 3 Now at 10, another Democratic hopeful has put their hat in the ring for presidential election in 2020. And tomorrow is the Grammys, and there's going to be more women this year than in the past. We take you to LA. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren is officially running for president in 2020. She made the announcement in front of Everett Mills, a former textile mill where women and immigrants led a labor strike in 1912. Warren pledged to refuse donations from lobbyists and corporate PACs and said she will fight against wealthy power brokers. Other notable candidates who have announced their intention to run for the Democratic nomination: Senators Kamala Harris of California and Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, Representative Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii, and former HUD Secretary Julian Castro. President Trump is the only Republican that has filed so far. This year's Grammy Awards will likely be a showcase for female power after a noticeable drought in 2018. Stella Escobedo has more from Los Angeles.
Rapper Cardi B has 5 Grammy nominations. Baby, can you focus? R&B newcomer Her also has 5 nominations. With you quiet boy. And Brandi Carlile leads the pack with 6 nods at this year's Grammy Awards. Women will command on Sunday, with show host Alicia Keys leading the charge.
It is time to ensure that diversity and inclusion is present and front and center, and particularly for women to have our seat at the table.
I love Alicia Keys so much. She's so powerful. She's powerful. I would vote her into the presidency of the United States. That's how powerful Alicia Keys is.
Lady Gaga will make her 5th Grammy performance in a row. Music Care's 2019 Person of the Year, Dolly Parton, will perform on the Grammy stage for the first time since 2001. Motown superstar Diana Ross will take the stage to mark her 75th birthday.
This year's emphasis on female power comes after last year's uproar after Recording Academy President Neil Portnow said women needed to step up.
You can make the case that it is Year of the Woman for the Grammys. Now, obviously, they had something very big to come back from last year with the low female representation in the show and in the winners.
This year, more than half of the nominees for the coveted Album of the Year award are women. Stella Escobedo, CBS News, Los Angeles.
You can watch the Grammys on WISC-TV tomorrow. Coverage starts at 6 o'clock. More local news now at 10. With Valentine's Day dinner dates fast approaching, couples and singles were preparing for the big romantic meal, showing their health a little love today with a 5K. Dubbed as the hottest 5K in town, more than 100 local runners turned out for the 24th annual Valentine's 5K race, hosted by Running Club at UW-Madison.
Running helps with my health. It helps keep my asthma in control. So anything to keep me motivated to do the things that are good for me.
The race was a part of the Madison area running series, and its proceeds will benefit the River Food Pantry. Valentine's Day isn't here yet, but many got to pour their hearts out a little early, or rather watch molten iron being poured into hearts carved of stone. The 10th annual Pouring Your Heart Out Community Iron Pour was a collaboration between experienced artists and beginners who came together to create unique handmade cast iron artworks. Participants were able to watch iron be heated to more than 2,000 degrees and poured into the molds they had carved earlier in the day.
The most rewarding thing is probably when someone sees the mold that they had made and they see it on the floor, like cooling down, where it's, steaming and still, like, they can recognize what they did, and then later when they pick it up and they can take it home with them.
More than 30 artists helped make this pour possible, resulting in hundreds of iron creations that will last longer than a lifetime. Let's get a look at your First Alert weather. Dave Caulfield has more on the snow coming our way this weekend. Dave?
Yeah, I haven't gotten my gifts yet for Valentine's Day, Amanda, and Mother Nature has a couple of gifts on the way for us as we head into the week of Valentine's Day. Not right now, though. Pretty quiet outside, mostly cloudy skies on the Edgewater Skycam overlooking Madison. Temperatures today a little bit warmer than yesterday, so definitely improving in the temperature department, but we still have a ways to go to get close to our normal, close to 30. That's where we should be for this time of year. Highs today were in the upper teens, close to 20 degrees. Doppler track quiet for much of the day, and I think it will remain that way for much of the morning hours, but we're starting to see some of that snow showing up across portions of Nebraska into southwestern Iowa. closer to Omaha. That snow will move in by the time we get to later tomorrow morning into the afternoon and evening hours. You notice that southern Wisconsin not under a winter weather advisory. The snow totals just aren't there, folks. I think as we head a little bit farther to the north across portions of central Wisconsin, about 3 to 4 inches of snow not out of the question. But for most of us, we're looking at about 1 to 2 at best. So that light snow developing on Sunday. That's our first alert day. And then the second system on the way for late Monday through Tuesday has a lot more attention because of the threat of heavy snow, especially for the morning commute. That's not out of the question. We could also be talking about significant accumulations. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Temperatures right now are in the mid to upper teens across southern Wisconsin. A few 20s also showing up. That's about 10 to 15 degrees warmer compared to this time yesterday. Wind chills, though, we're still in the single digits for Lone Rock, Mineral Point, and Madison. Still feels like 17 in Janesville, so not too bad. For the overnight hours, not as cold, mostly cloudy with temperatures rising through the teens as we get some warmer air to filter in ahead of that first round of light snow tomorrow. So I was a little bit ahead of myself. We have light snow on the way for tomorrow. About 1 to 3 inches of accumulation is possible. Let me show you what we're looking at. Really, the latest model runs have not been kind to this first system. Now, we will see some light snow shower activity, especially in the afternoon and evening tomorrow for southern Wisconsin, but really not much. It just doesn't hang around that long, this first system. But as we head into later on Monday, we start to see that snow coming up from the south. This is the second system on the way. But for the first round, only looking at about a half an inch to an inch for much of southern Wisconsin. As you head to farther to the north, we're looking at about 1 inch to 2 inches, and closer to the spots under that advisory, we could see a 3-inch amount or two. Now, for the second system, still the potential for about 6 inches or more of snow. There's still a lot of uncertainty with this system, so we're watching that closely. We don't want to get too specific just yet because the path of that can change, and so a lot can change at this point. But the potential is there for 6 inches or more of snow and significant accumulations and impacts, especially for that Tuesday morning commute. So we'll keep an eye on that and stay tuned to the forecast changes with that system.
Everyone's looking at that second system.
Yep.
A little worried.
Hopefully it misses.
All right. Thank you, Dave. A special night for a Wisconsin hockey great. That story is coming up next in sports.
Well, we witnessed history at the Kohl Center tonight. Mark Johnson is the first player in Badger hockey history to have his number retired. It was quite an emotional evening for the all-time winningest coach in women's NCAA hockey.